Hello all. Today we'll be discussing about types of communication. Communication in an organization is an important link pin that integrates all the processes of the organization. And whatever work that is done in the organization, its effectiveness and efficacy depends largely on the different channels of communication that are used. So, we will be studying about them only. We can say that communication in an organization can be studied under first the channel or network. Then it can also be distinguished on the basis of direction of message and the method of expression. Channel of network, formal and informal. Direction of message is downward, upward, horizontal, diagonal, and method of expression is oral, written, or gesture. Channel of communication, formal channel communication. It refers to the official communication which takes place following the chain of command in the organization. Chain of command means exactly the flow of authority and responsibility. Who is supposed to give orders to whom is decided by the chain of command. Okay, so whatever official notices or whatever official instructions that come in the organization, it has to be through formal chain of command. So that is called formal communication. Okay, for example, in an organization, if suppose we have declared work from home, okay, so we cannot rely on whatever we hear from our peer group, but if the notice comes from the HR department, then we have to abide by the instructions. Okay, so formal communication forms a very important part in the different communication channels that are functional in the organization. Then the advantages of formal communication, first is orderly flow of information, identified source, control, answerability for actions, justification of authority, authentic information. Okay, exactly, orderly flow of information, because we exactly know from where the information is coming and how it is distributed to different sections of the organization. Okay, so whom is the information is to be given, and who are the people that who are the people who do not require this kind of information. This can be totally controlled in the formal communication channel. Identified source, because we know that it is an official notice coming, so we have an official signatory that gives who gives the orders, so we know who has said this. Okay, like if our honorable prime minister comes and says that there will be demonetization, so we know that yes. And then if suppose if a formal notice comes from PMO, then it becomes a thing to be followed by everyone in our country. So we know exactly the source of the information. Then control, exactly, it is a controlled form, because they have a structured way of disseminating the information to different people. Answerability for actions, because if suppose we come up with the notice, or we come up with some instruction, and if there is some problem in future, so we know whom we have to talk to about this, because the signatory will be responsible for the repercussion of the notice. Okay, justification of authority and authentic information, again exactly that whenever it is coming from an official channel, an official authority who has been given this power of ordering things in the organization, then the information will be more authentic. Then we have disadvantage of formal communication. What are the disadvantage of formal communication? First, it is time consuming, because it has to follow a proper channel, so therefore it will be time consuming. Okay, then lack of personal touch, because it is coming from a source which is not directly related to you, or which is not directly in touch with you, therefore it loses the personal touch. Then there can be distortion, and it can be expensive. Why it can be expensive? Because it has to follow a channel. Okay, for example, if suppose somebody in the organization works very well, okay, and the immediate boss, he recommends uh, an appreciation for him. Okay, so if he directly has the authority to give appreciation, so it will be more of a personal touch, and he will be able to feel what the other person has done. Okay, but then if he has to follow a formal channel, then he will recommend his name, it will go to regional office, then state office, national office, and the name and the appreciation letter will come from the head office, which is far away from your office, and they don't know you personally, but then you will be getting a letter in this way. Okay, so the personal touch is missing in this kind of formal communication. Okay, then informal communication, which is between individuals and groups which are not officially recognized. Okay, so it is an inseparable part of an organization, because in organization, when we are working, so we are working with our people. So it is not that we are just interacting with people of our department, but we are also interacting with people of other departments at different places, like canteen, or when you're waiting for the bus, or when you are attending a function. In this way, we have different avenues where we can actually interact with people with whom we are not officially linked. So this kind of communication is called informal communication. Grapevine and informal channel. This is an informal transmission of information, gossip, rumor from person to person. Now, the effectiveness of managerial skills depends upon how you deal with these grapevines. Okay, because many a times you might have heard of, like just after demonetization, and then after few months we heard people were saying that now 2000 rupees notes, they are also getting banned. So this is just a grapevine which was like spreading, and there was no official notice regarding this from PMO. Okay, but there are things like in an industry, if suppose the laborers are having some kind of unrest, they are not happy with some kind of policy which is being implemented in the organization. So there is like people are not happy, so absenteeism has increased, productivity has decreased, so all these things are there. And then if suppose the manager hears about this kind of unrest from his informal sources, so he has to give a patient ear to this. Only then he will be able to deal with the situation in future. When it actually happens, the strike and everything, he will be able to control. So the actual managerial skill depends upon how much weightage you give to these grapevine information, and how cold shoulder you give to all these things. So therefore we say that grapevine is a test of your managerial skills. Okay, now uh, the grapevine has following features. It transmits in every direction, and we don't know the source of it. Okay, like a few years back we heard that all the idols of god, they are drinking milk, and it like spread like a fire all over the country, and everybody on every news channel we could see people going in the temple, and they are feeding the idol of lord by they are feeding milk. Okay, so what was that? It was like a grapevine. Okay, it was like a fire all over the country, and and we don't know who is spreading this, we don't know any source of it, but it actually spreads. Okay, there was no authenticity, there was no formal notice. Obviously there cannot be any notice, but this is the disadvantage of grapevine. We don't know who is doing it, but it is there. Okay, grapevine is selective with regard to the person who receives the information. So the people who are associated with the group only will be knowing this. Okay, then grapevine is based on people rather than task. Yes, exactly, because it is not the task which actually attracts grapevine, it is the people. Because since you are friends with somebody from HR department, therefore you know that this year we'll be getting double bonus. Okay, so it is not because of the virtue of the post that you are holding that you actually came up with this information, but it is because of the friendship you have with the person who is in the HR department. So it is more people oriented, people centric instead of the task oriented. Okay, so this is a feature of Grapevine. Okay, so we have to be very sure that grapevines are sometimes very true, and they actually help us to be prepared for the future challenges, and sometimes grapevines are absolutely useless and we should not worry about them. We should not waste our energy, rather we should look for the source and we should try to curb it. Okay, so grapevine does not follow a fixed pattern. Yes, exactly, because the formal channel will have a fixed pattern, like it will come from head office to the lower level to the next level to the next level and to the lowest level. But grapevine we don't know, because might be the lowest level rung person who is sitting in the canteen with the 3 level up person, and then they are talking, so the communication has jumped 2 3 levels and it has reached to the next level. So therefore it does not follow a fixed pattern. Grapevine generally occurs orally, obviously, because nobody in writing is going to spread this thing. Then grapevine extends beyond the formal hierarchy system of an organization. It can occur off the job also. Like there is no hierarchy. Like it is not that only the senior will be giving you some news. It can be from the junior also. It can be from the peer group also. It can be a person who is not entitled to give or to know such information. He can also give you because of his informal channels in the organization. So in this way we see that the grapevine works, and it can occur off the job also. Okay, so in this way we see that there are formal channels and informal channels. Okay, so we have studied that the channel of communication can be divided on the basis of the type of message, in the basis of direction, in the basis of the content. Okay, and the nature of it, whether it is formal or informal. Then informal channel, it is called grapevine, and the features we have studied. Okay, so we'll do the rest in our next section. Thank you very much.